I didn't want it to come to this. What? No. No way, man. Okay, wait. No. Let's calm down a little bit because I know the title, the thumbnail, it might be getting everybody a little bit worried. And don't worry, I'm right with you there because what I wanted to do in this video was talk about two ideas that were brought up on Sportsnet 650 radio. And look, man, these are pretty big things because they involve some pretty notable players. And if you wanted to go over this, look, I'll leave a link in the description to two videos. One, it's a Sportsnet 650 hit with Dodd and Drance from yesterday, May 30th. And there also was another 650 video from earlier this afternoon. It's Canucks Talk with Brendan Batchelor. So, without further ado, let's go out there and talk about the first one. Let's go chronologically here. So, the 3-minute video with Drance and Dodd has a long quote from Thomas Drance saying that I do not believe that Nils Hoglander's ceiling case involves him being even a consistent 25-goal guy. And there's a lot more context behind that. Just that isolated quote makes it seem kind of bad. But Drance does bring up some interesting points here that for Nils Hoglander and the productive player that he was this season, I mean, take a look at the 5v5 goals, 24 goals, 80 games played, 36 total points. This was a guy who at 5v5 was one of the best players in the league if you map everything out to per 60-minute statistics. But Hoglander was playing fourth-line minutes. He was shooting at 20% this season, and the question really is, okay, can the guy go out there and consistently get 20, 25 plus goals a year whilst being this 20% shooting guy on the middle to bottom six? Now, of course, the debate is whether or not he could be better to play in the top six, and that ideally would be the case here. But for Hoglander making $1.1 million till the end of 2025, the argument is brought up that this guy might very well be at the peak of his value. And the folks over on the show, they discussed the idea of the Canucks making a splash. If they wanted to make a huge trade to get the team back in the right direction, what assets do they have that they can move? They discussed their first-round pick next year, not this year, that's already gone for the Lindholm trade. Next year, they talk about Jonathan Lekkerimäki, Willander, and then the conclusion is kind of made that Hoglander might very well be next up on that list. And it is an interesting idea because if you want to talk about this from the perspective of investing, I think there's a reasonable idea behind the thought process that says that Hoglander might have exhibited one of the best seasons he will ever have in 23-24. Who knows that if he's given more ice time, if he's given an actual role in the power play, if he'll be able to continue shooting at 20% and getting all the goals that he had scored. We had seen with Andrei Kuzmenko last year just how ineffective a really good shooter could be 1 year removed from having that kind of production. And I'm not even saying that Hoglander should get traded. I'm just saying the idea is brought up here, and it isn't unreasonable. If the Vancouver Canucks find a team that rates Hoglander as highly as some may say a 20-goal even-strength scorer should be able to get, especially at the ripe old age of 23 like Hoglander is, then maybe some team goes out there and overpays for an asset like that. Who really knows? Maybe it's a team that's really trying to get younger and they have some older, more mature and experienced assets to burn. I say mature, experienced, I'm not talking like 33 plus, but somebody that could help out the team who is more in their prime window right now. And the replies to this Twitter video are interesting. You have some fans saying, okay, the guy hasn't been given a fair shot in the top six, so it's way too early to give up on him. And then there are others that are saying, yeah, no, his value is really high. So I'd say sell high. Try to take advantage of what you have right now because you're not guaranteed to be getting anything near that next season and beyond. Especially as he becomes an RFA next season, it'll be interesting to see where those negotiations go and whether or not the Canucks would actually think it'd be valuable to bring him back. So you can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about the idea of selling high on Nils Hoglander. And I also wanted to talk about the idea of selling high on another asset because when it comes to Brendan Batchelor's comments from Canucks Talk earlier this morning, the video title is this: what should the Canucks do with Brock Boeser? Brendan Batchelor weighs in on the potential of a Brock Boeser trade. And the replies in this one are a lot angrier, they're a lot more one-sided, but let's go out there and give Batch a listen here. He says on the radio that there is a very strong argument to be made that you need to trade Brock Boeser right now. And the main philosophy on that is, if you feel like Brock Boeser, whose contract at 6.65 expires 1 year from now in 2025, will continue to be this good, if you think that he's going to continue getting 40 goals, he's going to continue playing with JT and being this play driver, just a versatile, two-way capable, board battle winning, offensive positioning guy, then now is the time to trade him. And Batch says because he had a relatively injury-free season, that he had all this success this year on a season where you didn't really think that was possible. Brock Boeser kind of shocked the league. He shocked the NHL, he shocked the fans in Vancouver, he shocked almost everybody, all in a very positive way, of course. We recognize that Boeser's season was amazing, but with this in mind, is it time to trade him? Now, of course, the replies to this tweet are a lot angrier. They're all saying, I had an idea. No. Brock Boeser is a heart and soul guy. It took him so long to eventually get to this point. He had to go through so much turmoil, and Vancouver was hostile towards him, and then he earned the trust back, and then he was amazing, and now he's great again. Why trade him now? But there are a few select replies that are saying, yeah, no, I'm agreeing with this. Get the King's ransom or lose him for nothing. The Canucks simply will not be able to afford him on the $8 or $9 million he gets on his next deal. Sell high, some are saying. This would be a move for the next few years rather than next year if you tried to make this kind of a trade. And honestly, to me, this is where I personally could never be an NHL GM. Like, I do the same thing in my franchise mode, and when I'm building my hut teams, and when I'm buying hockey cards and stuff, like, I try to really cater to my own emotions as a fan. I try to cater to the guys that I like, and the guys that I have seen grow as players and have developed emotional connections with. You know, it was sad when Bo Horvat got traded. We all recognized that he had to go, but it was sad. A lot of people were sad about that. And for Brock, I feel like it's a lot of a similar thing here, where it's like, there is a very legitimate reason to keep him. He's very good, and his story is amazing, but if you want to think about the contract next year, 2025-2026, he'll need a new deal. What's the AAV on that? He got $6.6 million getting 20-plus goals every season. What more now when he's got a 40-goal season under his belt, and maybe even another one if he continues playing as well as he did with JT Miller in 24-25? In all aspects, pretty much except for his foot speed and sniping on the rush in his rookie season, Brock Boeser just played the best season of his entire hockey playing career. The goal numbers support that, the assists support that, the positioning, the chemistry, his mojo, the swagger that he had played with, it's all there. Brock Boeser was a monster. And so, trade him? This one is a lot more difficult, I'd say, than the Hoglander one, because there's a magnitude of really strong play that already exists with Boeser that I don't think Hoglander has achieved yet. Sure, like the minutes, the deployment, it's all in Hoglander's favor. He was so underutilized, but still had all the 5v5 goals that he did. But Brock Boeser, just the years that he had spent on this team and the way he's the longest tenured Canuck right now, you know, we had talked about the Boeser trade rumors from a few years ago when he was initially rumored to being moved and maybe potentially wanting out. There was an entire idea saying, yeah, what's Pettersson going to do? His best friend on the team is probably going to want out. What's happening? And how is that going to fracture the room? What's Bruce Boudreau going to do about this? Like, that was the thing last year, but now it's so different. It is so different, and yet we're still having the same conversations about trades, just in a completely different light. Now it's a positive. Now it's like, yeah, no, the Canucks are not wanting to trade Boeser away because he sucks, and he's not fitting here. It's because he could get some really good value on the trade market, and whatever team is going to get him is going to have to sign him to a $9-something million deal if he keeps on getting this amount of goals. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about the Vancouver Canucks potentially selling high on both Nils Hoglander and or Brock Boeser. This was talked about on Sportsnet. I'm not crazy for bringing it up here. I'm just using what Thomas Drance and Brendan Batchelor said as video fuel here. So I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comments section. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.